Today's math homework and math lesson is lesson 22, and it is on comparing the size of a product to the size of the factors. So I'm going to show you what this lesson is all about with number 6 homework in their orange books. The problem reads, in a sketch, a fountain is drawn 1/4 yards tall. The actual fountain will be 68 times as tall. How tall will the fountain be? So in these types of problems, the students must figure out what is the product and what is the scaling factor. Now, we talked in class today that a scaling factor is a number in a multiplication problem. That's what factor means. And then scaling means, does my product get bigger or smaller, or is it equal? So we're going to take the product, 68, and we're going to multiply it times 1/4. Now, 1/4 is less than 1. When your scaling factor is less than 1, that's going to make your product smaller. When your scaling factor is more than 1, like let's say if for example, if it was 5/4, then that would make your scaling factor bigger. But in this case, we have 1/4. So we're going to do top times top and bottom times bottom, and we're going to get 68 over 4. To change that into a mixed number, 4 goes into 68 17 times. So how tall will the fountain be? The fountain will be 17 yards tall. What they must notice from this lesson is you started with 68. You multiplied by 1/4, which is less than 1, much less than 1. Therefore, it really affected your product. It made your products go down. So the scaling factor, or the number that you're multiplying by, will affect your answer by either greater than, less than, or equal to. And that is what we worked on today in math class. Yay! As the problem reads, some students in the class saw that it said in the problem 68 times as tall. Some students in the class saw the 68 as the scaling factor, which would make sense because if your product is 1/4 and you're multiplying by 68, which is much greater than 1, your answer would be the same. It would still be 68 over 4, which is equal to 17. But as you could see, when your scaling factor, 68, is much bigger than 1, you go from a product of 1/4 to a product of 17, and that's why your answer is getting much bigger. So depending on how you look at the problem, it still is the same. The scaling factor affects your number or your product either going up, going down, or staying the same if it's 1, if it's times 1. Yay!